Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is another video in the series of Java interview question answers. We have already covered total 35 questions with detailed answers in first two videos. In case you missed that, please check out the playlist from top right corner or from my channel. In this video, we will cover 15 more questions with higher complexity than the previous questions. If you are new to the channel, please do subscribe and press the bell icon. So without any further delay, let's start. The first question is, what is the difference between string builder and string buffer? These two components are almost similar to string itself. So string buffer is actually synchronized. That means two threads cannot call the method of string buffer simultaneously. So as it is synchronized, so it is said to be thread safe. But on the other hand, string builder is not thread safe. So we can use string buffer in the multi-threaded environment, but we cannot use string builder in the multi-threaded environment. So due to the synchronization, string buffer is less efficient than string builder. Next is it safe to use string for a password or any kind of sensitive information? So answer to that is, if we store password or sensitive information in string, it will stay in the memory for a longer period because strings stay in the string pool until they are garbage collected. So anyone having memory dump will be able to extract the password from string pool in the plain text itself. So that is a problem. So how that problem can be solved, that can be their follow-up question on that. So you can mention that the alternative for that is, instead of using string, we can use character array, which allows us to set it to blank whenever we are done with the password usage. So as you know, even if we set our string variable to null, that string literal that contains password will still remain in the string pool, but that is not in the case of character array. Next is, how can you calculate the number of words in a string? That is a pretty basic question which can be asked. So this is the code snippet for that. So here I have declared this string str, which is I love Java. So I am using JShell to just represent this example. So now I am declaring one array, str array of type strings, and using dot split method with space as a delimiter, I am applying this split method on str, which is I love Java. So once I apply this and assign the value to str array, then three different elements will be created and added to that specific array. Here you can see str array is first element is in the array is I, second is love, and third one is Java, because all these three are separated by space. And now using the length property of array, we can print how many elements are there in that array. That will give you the number of words in your string. Next question is, what is a memory leak in Java? So this is a very important question that could be asked in the experienced Java interviews as well. So a memory leak is a situation in which unused objects keep occupying the space in memory. So unused objects are typically removed by garbage collector, that we already know. But in case when object is actually not in use but are referenced from somewhere, so garbage collector will not be able to remove them from the memory, as they will keep staying in the memory. That specific phenomena is known as memory leak. So they will keep occupying the memory and it can result into out of memory error and then the application crash as well. The next follow-up question on that could come to you like, what are the common causes of memory leak? So you can mention like excessive usage of session objects because they remain in the memory, excessive use of static fields. We can have unclosed resources like DB connections. We are creating DB connections and not closing them. We have buffers like reading the file or writing to file. Also, we can have improper equals or hash code implementation that can lead to memory leak. And in the end, we can mention like poorly written custom data structures that we have created. They can also lead to memory leak. Next is it possible to disable the finalize method call for the garbage collection? So as we already know, when garbage collection is garbage collecting any object, it will call the finalize method on that to do the cleanup activities. But is it possible to control that execution? So answer to that will be yes. We can use run finalizer on exit method in the runtime itself and disable the finalize method, so that on that specific object the finalize method will not be called. So So next question is, what changes happened in Java 8 for the memory model? In Java 8, they have made a lot of changes with respect to the functional programming and as well as in the memory model as well. So before Java 8, it was perm generation, which was available in the heap, but that was replaced with metaspace in Java 8. Permgen was used to store static content in the memory section. This includes all the static methods, primitive variables, and references to the static objects. On the other hand, metaspace memory region grows automatically by default. This specific feature was not available in case of permgen. So permgen was a fixed memory space. If it fills up completely, it would result into out of memory error. But on the other hand, metaspace that grows automatically by default, and with this improvement, JVM reduces the chances to get out of memory error as well. Next is how to execute Linux shell command in Java. So there are two different methods in Java using which we can execute shell commands. These are two basic ones. There are other libraries as well, like JSCH, using which we can connect to the Linux machine and execute any command that we want. But without any specific libraries in the core Java itself, we have process builder and runtime.getRuntime.exe method to execute any external shell command. Next question can be, what are the different ways to write data to files in Java? So there are various methods using which we can read or write the data to the files. First one is buffered writer. So here you can see I have a variable str hello, and then we create an object of buffered writer, and it will require a file writer object as well. And the file writer object will need file name and path of the file where we want to write. So once this buffered writer is created, we can use dot write method, and we will pass the string that we want to write to the file, and that will be written to the file which is mentioned in the file writer file name. In addition to that, using that writer object, we can append the data as well. Then we also have file writer method. So similarly, we have file output stream also. In addition to that, we have various other methods like data output stream, random file, access file, file channel. File channel is actually specifically used for large files because it is more efficient to handle the large files data. Next question is, what is serialization in Java? So serialization, it is a mechanism to write state of an object into byte stream. It is mainly used to transmit the object over network. So suppose I have an employee object, and its value are ID1 and name of the employee, address of the employee. And if I want to store that specific object itself in a file, for that actually I need to perform the serialization. So state of an object can be stored in a file itself, and we can transmit it over the network, and whenever we receive it on the other end, on the later stage, it can be restored using the deserialization process. So we will be reading that specific file and creating the employee object there itself with the exact state for which we have serialized it. To make the class serializable, like I want to serialize employee object, it should implement the interface serializable. The follow-up question to that could be like, suppose there are some sensitive data available in the employee object itself, maybe their social security number that we do not wish to store or serialize in the file and transmit over the network. So how can we avoid that and still make it serializable? So in that way, we can use transient keyword. So whatever field we define as transient, that will not be serialized. So in this example, if you see in my class, ID is declared as transient and name is not declared as transient. And when we try to serialize it, the ID will not be transferred to the file. What is reflection in Java? Reflection is a process of checking or modifying the runtime behavior at class runtime itself. So for that, Java has already provided class in the package java.lang, which provides various methods that can be used to get the metadata, examine, and change the runtime behavior of the class. Another related question to the reflection is, we already know like we can create object using new keyword. So is it possible to create a specific object of a class without using new keyword? So yes, that is possible. We can use new instance method of a class the class which is available in java.lang, and which will call the constructor at runtime and return an object. So this specific method will use reflection here. So this is our suppose our student class. Now in our main class, we can declare an object C of type class, and then we can load the student class here itself in this object C using class.forName method, and we can mention the class that we want to load to C. The similar method you might have already seen while you are connecting a JDBC connection with the database, because using that we load the driver class using class.forName method. So here now we will create a student S object, and without using new keyword, using c dot get declared constructor dot new instance, it will return a student object here. So that will be assigned to variable s, and now using s we can call say hi method, which is available in for student only. Next question is, what is autoboxing and unboxing? The autoboxing is a process of converting primitive data types to the corresponding wrapper class objects, for example int to integer. And the unboxing is the process of converting wrapper class objects to primitive data type, for example capital integer to int. Unboxing and autoboxing occurs automatically in Java. It can occur whenever a wrapper class object is expected and primitive data type is provided, and vice versa. The last question is, what is the use of strict PFP in Java? So floating point calculations may have different precisions depending on the platform. So that will actually result into the incorrect calculations. The Java strict FP keyword ensures that you will get the same result on every platform if you perform any operations on the floating point variables. With that, you have a better control over floating point operations. That's it for this video. So if you like the video, please do like, share and subscribe. Thanks for watching. See you next time.